Welcome to the Explainer. Financial reports, they're usually packed with numbers and jargon that can make your head spin. So today, we're going to cut right through all that noise. We're taking a look at one of India's biggest banks, HDFC Bank, and we're going to grade its performance just like a school report card. Simple as that. All right, let's just jump straight to the final grade, the bottom line. For the 3-month period ending in September 2019, HDFC Bank's net profit was a whopping 63.45 billion rupees. Just let that sink in. That is a huge amount of money for just 90 days of work. Seeing a number like that, well, it naturally leads to a pretty big question, right? How on earth is that even possible? To figure that out, we can't just look at the final grade. We need to dig into the report card and check out the individual subjects. So, first things first, where is all this money actually coming from? What are the bank's main lines of business? Or, sticking with our analogy, what subjects is this bank acing? Okay, so this chart breaks everything down for us into 4 main chunks. But look at that. The biggest piece of the pie, by far, more than half of the entire business is something called retail banking. And here's the really fascinating part. The core engine driving HDFC Bank isn't some super complex Wall Street-style operation. Nope. It's the everyday banking that millions of people like you and me use. It's the local branch you might visit, the ATM you use, the credit card in your wallet, or the loan you get for a new car. Now, the second biggest slice of the pie, wholesale banking, is kind of the other side of the coin. This is where the bank works with the big players, huge corporations and institutions. They're managing their cash flow, providing massive loans for giant projects. You get the idea. It's way fewer customers, but the transactions are much, much bigger. So we know where the income is coming from, but to really understand profits, we have to look at the expenses, right? Because as they say, it's not just about what you earn, it's about what you get to keep. This chart right here, this gets to the absolute heart of how banking works. On one side, HDFC earned almost 282 billion rupees in interest from things like loans and investments. And on the other side, it paid out about 147 billion rupees in interest to people like us, for savings accounts and fixed deposits. See that gap between what they earned and what they paid out? That is everything. That is the bank's main source of profit. There's a technical term for it, net interest income, and it is truly the lifeblood of the entire banking business. But of course, that's not the end of the story. Just like any other business, a bank has other major costs. You've got salaries for all of their thousands of employees and all the expenses for running branches and technology. And then there's a really important one, provisions. Think of this as the bank putting money into a rainy day fund, just in case some of the loans they've given out don't get paid back. A great report card isn't just about getting straight A's. It's also about what the teacher writes in the comments section about your behavior. For a bank, that means we need to look at how well it's managing risk. It's one thing to make money, but it's another to do it safely. And the most important teacher's note on this whole report card is a metric called non-performing assets, or NPAs. It's a really simple but powerful idea. Basically, these are the loans on the bank's books that have, gone bad. The borrowers have just stopped paying them back. So for this quarter, HDFC Bank's gross NPA ratio was 1.38%. Okay, what does that actually mean in plain English? It means that for every 100 rupees the bank has loaned out, only about 1 rupee and 38 paise is currently at risk of not being paid back. And why is this little number so important? Well, because it's a critical sign of the bank's overall health. A really low number like this suggests that the bank is being super careful and disciplined about who it lends money to, which is exactly what you want to see. It's the sign of a healthy, well-run business. Okay, so we've looked at the final grade, we've checked the subjects, we've gone through the costs, and we've even read the teacher's comments. So what's the big picture here? What's the main takeaway from this whole report card? So let's wrap this all up. First, a bank's business at its core is pretty simple. It's all about that spread between the interest it earns and the interest it pays. Second, HDFC's real power comes from its millions of everyday customers. And finally, a bank's health is a balancing act between making big profits and keeping risks low. And this report card shows that HDFC is doing a really good job at that. And I'll leave you with this final thought. A bank's performance is often seen as a pretty good mirror of the economy it's in. I mean, if people are paying back their loans and the bank is doing well, that can be a really good sign for everyone. So, with that in mind, what do you think a strong report card like this says about the bigger picture?